Hey there, guys. Oh, so it's been a few days. I am on break at work right now. I actually had to take yesterday off. I'm feeling pretty under the weather these past few days. Um, yeah, I guess I have a head cold or something along those lines. Whew, just been very congested and, fevery, not feeling well. So, yeah, I think my last video was probably last Wednesday, my last live. Um, and, I remember saying when I did that video, I was like, oh, I hope I'm gonna get to do another video tomorrow and Friday, or at least something along those lines. Um, because normally I've been taking Thursday, Friday, and Saturday off of the club lately. So yeah, I was hoping I'd at least be able to do a live or a video or something along those lines on here for one of those days, because I think the week prior I was pretty good about that. But yeah, I just had to not do a whole lot and just take some days off, and was not feeling well, and I'm still not. I mean, I really probably shouldn't have come into work today, but I was just getting so restless, and I was already upset enough about taking yesterday off because, yeah, lately I've been working Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I kind of feel like I have to do that in a way because Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they use a smoke machine that I'm allergic to. It's weird because it's come and gone throughout the years, it seems, but even some of the other nights, like sometimes on Sundays lately, they've had it. It's really difficult for me because a lot of times I just don't know how it's gonna be with that. Like sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. But it does seem like for the most part, the most common times for them to have it lately is more towards, yeah, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights and stuff, like the busier times. So in a way, I kind of feel almost like I have to do the 4 shifts in a row, when it's not as common for them to be using it earlier in the week. Honestly though, pretty much all throughout the time I've been dancing, for one reason or another, I am used to doing 4 shifts in a row. Like, I remember years ago, there was a manager that used to work here. He doesn't work here anymore. It's been a while since he's been here, but I used to have a little bit of a crush on him. So I used to work all of his shifts, or the shifts that I was aware of him doing, like 4 shifts in a row that he did. So that was the reason for that years ago with the 4 shifts in a row. And then pretty recently, like the past couple of years, one of my favorite managers that's still here now was doing 4 shifts in a row. So I was also doing 4 shifts in a row for that reason. And now it's like, mostly because of the smoke machine, and also, other people that are working, just a combination. So yeah, throughout the years, it's been pretty much for one reason or another, or I guess a combination of reasons now, I've just, done 4 shifts in a row. So I am used to doing it like that. We make our own schedule here, so it's not like I have to do the 4 shifts in a row like that, back to back. But in a way, it's what I'm used to, and I kind of tell myself now that I'm quite a bit older, like I probably shouldn't be. I should probably try to take a day off in between here and there when I can, but again, I'm just very allergic to the smoke they use here sometimes, and more towards the end of the week it seems lately, so I kind of just feel still, like, just to try to avoid it as best I can. I'm very allergic to that stuff. I get very congested. It almost feels like having a cold like this, actually. I'll get a rash, just, you can't, for me personally, I can't see well in there with that. I can't breathe properly. It's just really, and like, I understand they do it to try to enhance the show. It's supposed to enhance the lighting that they have, like the special effects with the lighting and stuff for stage. And, you know, like, I've seen it used at concerts and, like, stuff like that too, like productions, theatrical type of productions. But, you know, like, I feel like with concerts, it's more of like a bigger open area. And I noticed one time it does actually say on the bottle of the liquid that they use for it to use it sparingly. Use it sparingly in a well-ventilated area. And obviously strip clubs are not known for being well-ventilated areas. I mean, there's no windows in there, and you know, it's just not ventilated really. But I'm a, like, you know, I don't want to make a fuss. I'm a kind of pick your battles kind of person. I have heard that there are other people that aren't a fan of that stuff and that also seem to be like either allergic to it or that just don't like it. So it seems like I'm not alone in my opinion about that. But again, like I really enjoy dancing here, and I don't want to, you know, make a fuss when I feel like I have so many other things to be focusing on and you know, worrying about or trying not to worry about, you know what I mean? So yeah, but they actually were using it, not yesterday, not this past Sunday, because like I was saying, I had to take yesterday off because I was feeling so sick, but the Sunday before that, they were using it, and I actually had to leave early, because of it. I just, you know, and now with me feeling sick, like this week, I am wondering a little bit if it's related at all, you know, because the way that I was feeling, like congested and just really stuffed up, it is very similar to how I feel after working a shift when they've had that going, you know, when they've had that stuff. Just very hard to breathe. You get very congested, you feel all like stuck in your sinuses. It's just very unhealthy, it seems to me, because they have it run, it's just, they flood the place with it. It's not like they use it sparingly when they use it. It's like, it's just flooded, you guys, like the entire room, it just continually running like pretty much non-stop, to where, yeah, you can't really see in there. I can't, you know, I just can't breathe properly. I can't think properly. I feel like it's making me cloudy headed, you know, like when I'm there. And it's just, oh gosh. So yeah, it's been tough with that. I think they brought that in like 2017, 2018. And it was such a game changer for me, even like ever since they first brought it in, you know, because before that, they didn't really have it. I had never seen it before then. I mean, obviously I've been dancing here for a while, so, but, yeah, it was such a game changer, and I feel like it's just always gonna be a game changer for me, just really throwing me off my game and just making everything that much more difficult. It's like a liquid, oily, it's an oil-based product too, so I feel like it makes the pole even more slippery than it already is. You know, because it's like this oil in the air, and it coats the pole, it seems. So it makes the pole more slippery. It's just this whole, you know, like huge element that I have to kind of deal with and try to like, as best I can. I mean, it's just, it really is not nice, but you know, and so yeah, when they don't have it, I feel like I really need to try to make the most of those times as best I can, because I feel like I never know when it's gonna be back on or when they're gonna have it again, and I'm just so allergic to it that I really can't, I can only work around it so much, you know. I feel like, I mean, I do the best I can with it, but it's really difficult for me. And so, yeah, when it's not going, the times that they don't have it, I just feel like, okay, I gotta try to work as much as I can with that, you know? So, yeah, I was really bummed about having to leave early this Sunday a couple weeks ago when they had it, the Sunday before yesterday. Because, yeah, other than that, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, I did stay till close because they didn't have it going those nights. So, and if I hadn't left earlier on Sunday night, that would have been my third week in a row of working till close, those 4 shifts in a row, which I was really like trying to go for, you know. And then, yeah, like this week I just felt I've been feeling pretty crappy, so I took yesterday off, and I came in actually open today because I just feel so crappy that I'm like, well, I'd rather go in early, than not go in at all. Because I was just getting so restless. And for me, the longer time, like the more days in a row that I don't work here at the club, that I don't go on the pole and stuff like that, is actually harder for me. It actually seems to make it worse on my body and harder on my body because, yeah, it's like my muscles stiffen up more, muscle memory kind of fades a bit. So yeah, at my age and the level that I'm at with trying to go on the pole and stuff, I feel like I just have to be as consistent as I can with it, kind of like a sport, like when you're training for a sport and that kind of thing. So yeah, if I take more than a few days off in a row, even 3 days, when I've been taking the Thursday, Friday, Saturday off in a row lately, like even that is pushing it for me to where I feel like if they didn't have the smoke more often on those times, I feel like I would want to work even more, like at least one more of those shifts, like probably not all of them because I'd obviously want to take at least a day or two off, but I don't think I'd want to take all those 3 days off like I've been doing to try to avoid that smoke more or as best I can. Yeah, I feel like this is the kind of job for me, like, and the way that I approach it, just like as a sport and to try to stay in shape and for exercise and stuff. I feel like I would want to treat this almost like a regular job and work here almost every single day if I felt more able to do that. And it's funny because I think it was my last live video or one of my last lives that I did. I was saying, how day shifts and even a lot of night shifts lately have been super slow when I've been here. And I was saying, like, I don't know how I used to do so many day shifts, not even that long ago. Like I used to do a lot more day shifts than I've been doing lately, but I do know how and why I was doing so many day shifts before. And it's because, my favorite manager lately was working those day shifts and they just were doing, whatever they were doing, like this magic touch with the lights and the music for my stages to where it felt like almost like a sports training, like they were like a sports coach or something, you know what I mean? Like they were just able to bring out, I felt like, pretty much the best of my ability up there on stage, and to where I could just be on that stage regardless of who else was or wasn't in the club, at the stage, in the crowd. There could be nobody in there. And sometimes I even liked it better that way when like I wasn't really having to worry about, trying to put on a show for other people and who was watching. It was just, like a sports practice for me to where I could go that whole shift just being on stage and just like getting lost in the zone like a dream, just like this amazing dream where I don't know, it's really incredible what there's so many combinations of lights and music that you can do here at the club for the stages. And there have been a couple other DJs that were able to do that for me. But this is the only manager. I mean, I don't want to say the only one, but the only one that's been very consistent with being able to do that, to pretty much like, to where like every time I work their shifts and they're in the booth, controlling the lights and the music, like I know pretty much every single shift I do with them doing that, it's pretty much gonna hit and gonna happen like that. Whereas with the other managers, it's more like here and there maybe, but they're more so just like playing one of the playlists that's like a tried and true that will be playing like almost every day shift or almost every certain shift that they do. It's just like a playlist that they'll kind of always tend to go to. But there's a lot of playlists to choose from. And this one manager that I'm referring to would just, like, depending on the time and the crowd and how I was, like, dressed or how I was feeling, it's like they would just know and just have this magic touch with it to just, like, bring out this, like, to where I couldn't have done it myself, you know what I mean? Like, And I don't think a lot of people could do that. You know, it's a skill really, and it's always very interesting to me because I've always been the kind of person that is very independent and is used to working alone and doing things all by myself. So it's always very, like, you know, when that kind of thing happens, it's very surprising to me and kind of, yeah, I'm just not used to working with somebody else or collaborating with somebody else artistically or really in any way like that. So for somebody else to be able to do that to where I feel like they're bringing out my talent in a way that I probably wouldn't be able to bring out on my own, you know, is just very interesting to me. And to me, it's a very special thing. And, you know, go figure, this manager that I'm referring to is going to be leaving the club, I think, next spring. So that really sucks. And, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do then. Obviously, I'm going to still keep trying to do the best I can. But, you know, throughout the years, there have been different, I guess, things, different people that I've here and there that have kind of been able to do that, and different things that I've been able to use as motivation for me, like making my own schedule here and to try to like bring out my abilities on stage as best I can. So yeah, I don't know. It's but it's definitely interesting to me. And but I mean, like, when it happens though, like when I feel like when I get I don't know what the word is, but it's like a switch that gets turned or like something that gets triggered, or it's like this zone that I go into where I feel like, okay, like it's just different. It's, you know, there's other times where I'm just trying to do the best that I can, and I can still do pole tricks and I can still, you know, feel like I'm talented up there to a point, but then there's this whole other zone that'll happen lately, yeah, just with that manager, but in the past it's been with certain DJs or just different time periods. There's been different things that would have it happen. But it's like when I'm in that zone, it's like, oh my gosh, like that's like pretty much like just so special to me. And it's like, you know, just like how it's very, I feel like it's very rare to find that in life. And for me, it's just something to live for, to strive for, to just cherish, and just like, you know, it's just so crushing when something happens to where you feel like you're not able to access that space as much, or maybe at all ever again, you know what I mean? It's like until somebody else comes along that's able to do it, or something else is able to click into place to where it's able to happen again, or you know, I'm just not too sure in the future if I'm going to be able to get there, you know, once that manager's no longer here, if I'm still going to be able to find a way to get into that zone when I can, maybe from time to time. I'm hoping, but it's like it's a certain combination of factors, you know, that have to click into place with the lights and the music. And but it's like once I'm in that zone, it's like that is just, it's like a dream, you know, and it's like that is just like the best thing I've ever experienced in life, I'm pretty sure. One of the only really good things I think I've ever experienced. Like, I mean, obviously I've had some other like good things too, like here and there, but like that's just like that's it for me. That's like what, you know what I mean? Like I crave and just like desire, and just that zone, you know. But, you know, another thing, like for night shifts when there's people around the stage, because for the day shifts like that, a lot of times that would happen during the day shifts when it was very like slow, mostly just because of the music and the lights. But I guess another way I can sometimes get into that zone is that was, like I said, more of a day shift kind of thing, but night shifts, it's more like crowd dependent, and then the lights and the music are pretty much during a night shift, they're more likely to be like popping, you know, and like create this kind of zone that you can kind of just get lost in. And then especially when there's that added combination, that added factor of people being around the stage, that can do it too. So I have to try to remember that and like hold on to that. Like it's also possible in other ways. It's not just like one person that can do it for me, you know. But yeah, like for a while there, that manager and in the past other DJs that did it enough for me to where it was worth it for me. It felt like to come in for day shifts and just, you know, primarily focus on day shifts for that reason. Whereas now it's, you know, the schedule has changed for the managers. So my favorite manager that's able to do that for my stages, they're not doing the same 4 day shifts in a row. They were doing 4 day shifts in a row for a while, not that long ago. Whereas now, they're doing mostly night shifts or just kind of, you know, more, they really don't seem to come in as much now, which I guess in a way is good practice for me for when they're going to be leaving, you know, next year. So yeah, now it's like I have to kind of have it be more of a night shift kind of thing that can sometimes, but the thing with the night shifts is it's more of like the dancers each taking a turn on stage. So if I get into that zone for a night shift, it's more typically short-lived because right after I'll try to put on that show for the crowd, then the next dancer's coming on stage, you know, because we're having to take turns and it's more structured. Because yeah, obviously it's typically busier for the night shifts and that kind of thing. Whereas during the day shifts, I could get lost in that zone just for hours and hours and hours on end, because obviously it's typically not nearly as busy during the day. And during the day, whatever other dancers are here to take turns to go on stage, a lot of them typically won't even want to go on stage anyways when it's not busy, especially if there's nobody like up there by this, like at the stage, you know, like they'll just be on their phone or just like, you know, smoking a cigarette outside or just doing whatever they feel like doing a lot of times. So during the day, I would be used to just covering for them on stage and just going on stage when I technically didn't even need to be up there, but just because I wanted to be, you know, just to get my practice. And just, yeah, I could get with that one manager that was doing a lot of the day shifts back in the day, not that long ago, I could just get lost in that zone for hours, you know, pretty much the entire shift that I was there for or here for, because I'm here right now at the club. Yeah, just for hours, like a dream. Just so it's funny to me to think about sometimes, like if there were those kind of factors, you know, like I could probably want to be here doing day shift every single day just about, if, you know, like that manager or somebody like them along those lines were working here those days and able to do that, you know. And I still like the other managers, don't get me wrong. They're all really nice and really great here, which is amazing, and I'm very thankful for that. It's just, you know, like I said, it's kind of a rare thing, it seems, for somebody to be able to bring somebody else's talent out like that, to where they just know, especially when they're not a DJ themselves, you know what I mean? Usually it's a DJ that's meant to do that, and I've seen tons of DJs that aren't really able to do that, for me, personally anyways, maybe for other dancers, but you know, especially for somebody that's not, actually that manager was a DJ too back in the day, so maybe that explains it a little bit, but yeah, it's just, you know, it just feels like a rare thing for me, for somebody else to be able to click things into place to bring out somebody else's talent and just make their shift at work like an amazing dream, you know what I mean, like that, which I'll always be very, very thankful for. And this manager came into the picture like this for me working here, for me doing his shifts, especially a lot of the day shifts, maybe like a year or two back. That kind of started happening after, I feel like it happened right when I needed it to happen in my life, because before that, or shortly before that, I had taken some time off from the club because I had just had a really rough time with a couple of DJs in the past. that were kind of like abusing my allergy to the fog machine, and you know, like those other two DJs that I've referred to before in other videos, it's been a while since they've worked here, but years ago when they did still work here, I felt like they were able to bring out my talent on stage in a way like not very many people have ever been able to do. But with them, it was more of a kind of tricky situation, because with them, they were not very nice to me. And yeah, I felt like they were kind of like, yeah, it was great that they could do that for my stages, but when I was off stage and trying to like deal with them, you know, like they were pretty mean to me a lot of times, and it was just a weird situation. I felt like they were kind of I don't want to say, you know, it was just a weird situation. They were not very nice. Very talented, you know. I try to say nice things about people. They were attractive to me and they were talented, but they were not very nice to me. Whereas this manager is like so nice to me, or he's always been very, very nice and very, very helpful for me. So he's just always been a really nice guy, it seems. And like pretty much everyone else at the club that works here says the same thing, or like seems to feel the same way. Like everyone seems to really like love this guy, and he's just like so nice. And yeah, it really sucks that he's going to be leaving. But you know, I'm still going to try to do what I can and just still try, you know, to still make the most of working here, and to try to anyways. But yeah, maybe it'll just be doing more night shifts, or I'm not really too sure. But yeah, this is my first day shift in a while. Maybe for like a month or two, I'm not too sure really, but so yeah, it has been very slow. But then again, even night shifts were very slow last week. But I'm just happy that I was able to get here to work at all today with the way that I'm feeling. And you know, just to stretch and move my body and just get up and walk around, because I've pretty much just been in bed the past few days, which I hate doing that, you know. So just to stretch and move around. And I did climb the pole with my backpack today when I first got here, which that was just like, wow, that was really, really brutal for me. I'm not going to try to do that again today. I did technically manage to do it and get to the top, but it's funny because like last week when I was doing that, I was filming videos of that last week, and I was just going up and down and up and down and doing that like over and over again with my backpack. Whereas today, just to do it the one time, like it was just, oh my gosh, that sucked. But then a guy and I think it was his grandfather came in. So, you know, like even just to have those two people come up to my stage, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do a pole trick, and I did. And that also was pretty brutal. That also like really did not feel how it typically feels for me. It was a lot more painful and difficult. But I did it, you know. I'm proud of myself for coming in today and for, you know, doing a pole trick or two, just to, you know, at least be here and not just rotting in bed like I have been the past few days. And actually it's funny because when I've been like just trying to sleep or get some napping in off and on throughout the past few days that I've been taking off, I've actually been dreaming. I've really missed doing the YouTube, you know. And because before that, like last week, I was doing a video with you guys just about every day in a row, you know. So I was actually having dreams about doing a YouTube video. Like I was dreaming about, like, yeah, just like talking to the camera, and I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but like consistently though, like I kept dreaming about it, which was kind of funny. And also, when I was awake in between those times, I was watching a lot of stuff on YouTube on my laptop back at my apartment, you know, and I was watching a lot of September 11th stuff, and I went back to the red bandana story that I mentioned in a couple of my videos back around September 11th. And it was really weird because I did 2 videos that mentioned the guy from the red bandana story, Wells Crowther. And in the first video, I hadn't really brushed up on the September 11th stuff because, you know, as usual, I was just in a rush just to get out and do a video at all while it was still daylight. So I felt bad, and then I Googled it later, you know, realizing I had gotten his name wrong. And so I tried to mention his correct name in the following video the following day. And those 2 videos, I was wearing a red bandana in both of those videos. And when I watched more footage just the past couple of days, it mentioned also, I hadn't noticed this back then. I got his name when I brushed up on stuff about it back a couple weeks ago. But until just these past few days, watching more of the stuff about it on YouTube, I actually came across another bit of information about it that I had kind of forgotten about. Or actually, I didn't even realize this like ever before, but those 2 videos that I did were 56 minutes. And I actually mentioned that in the videos, which for me, like I'll mention, I oftentimes check the time on here and will mention like, oh, like it's this much, my video is this long, because I try not to have my videos be too long. So it's a pretty normal thing for me to check the time and reference it, but I don't do that in every single video, or I just felt like it was kind of weird that I specifically said it was 56 minutes in both of those 2 videos about September 11th. And then the past couple days when I was watching more stuff about it, I came across some information where it mentioned that the red bandana story, that guy from that story was from the South Tower. I guess he worked in the South Tower. And the South Tower apparently collapsed 56 minutes after it was struck by the plane that hit it. Flight 175, I think it was. So I thought that was really weird because I guess, I don't know, people probably won't believe me when I say this, or it probably won't seem, maybe that would seem like I did that on purpose, like have the videos be 56 minutes, but I really did not, especially since I hadn't even gotten his name right for the first one of those 2 videos. But that was not planned at all. That was not like, I swear, I mean, but looking back now and hearing that just the past couple days, the South Tower where that guy worked and where he was trying to rescue people from and did rescue people from what the stories say, yeah, it was, I guess it fell like 56 minutes after it was struck. And those 2 videos where I referenced that story were the videos that I did on here, live videos, mind you, were 56 minutes. And it's just so strange to me. But, you know, it's another one of those things that just kind of gives me this feeling of like everything being connected, you know, and just like people and spirits, and I don't know, it's just really, really interesting. Like art imitating life imitating art, and you know, just the yin yang, but vice versa. I don't know, it's just really interesting. And last week when I was working at the club, my last shift before today was last Wednesday, and I was really going pretty ham on stage towards the end of the night, because for most of that shift, leading up to the end of the night, I was kind of like laying low and taking it easy. It just really was a slow night, a boring night, just very, very slow. And there was a lot of other dancers on rotation. So with that, I don't go on stage as often. I have to wait my turn in line a lot longer. So I wasn't really going on stage very much for most of that shift until the very end. Excuse me. And then towards the end of that shift, yeah, I mean, most of the other dancers had already left and it was just really slow. The few dancers that were still there were like upstairs or in the VIP or doing lap dances. So, and a lot of them just weren't like interested or bothering to go on stage at that point, because it was like the very, very end of the night. So yeah, that I kind of like tried to use that opportunity to get my stage in, you know, which I like to try to do when I can. So I know at one point there were 3 songs. I stayed on the pole for 3 songs in a row, and that pole's very slippery. And then I think for one of those songs, I was upside down for almost the whole thing. So I felt like I really was like, you know, getting some good stage in. So I was feeling pretty good about that, you know, because that's like what I like need and crave in my life all the time. Like that's like my thing, you know. But then at the very, very, very end of the night, this was like literally the very end, like last minute of the night, last song, there was a Lil Baby song, and I love Lil Baby. He's one of my favorite artists to listen to and dance to. And like, yeah, dance to on stage is, I just love dancing to his music. So there was a part in one of his songs where he said, somebody came up to my window just to like see when I was coming back in. But so yeah, I'm probably gonna have to wrap this up in a few minutes. But so yeah, very last song of the night, and I had been on the pole for a while, and then there was a lyric in his song where it said something like touchdown or something with the word down. And I had just been upside down in the pole doing pole tricks, and right when he was saying those lyrics with the word down is when I came down from the pole, and it was like just the way that it synced up, my foot touched the stage floor. So I came down from the pole and my foot touched that stage right when he was saying that word, you know, down, and just like coming down or something. I think the song was called In a Minute, or I did find it. I did Google it later and I found which one it was. At first though, I thought he actually was saying touchdown, like something put my foot down or something like that, which would have really been crazy because it was right when I was putting my foot down on the stage. But it was close enough. He said the word down, and that's when I came down from the pole. It was just like, you know, one of those things that happens a lot on stage with me and with other dancers too, where I've noticed like you can't really plan it, you know. I mean, you can try, but a lot of times it's like when you're not planning it, when you're not, it just happens naturally, you know, like the lyrics and like what your body does at a certain time when they're saying those words will just like kind of sync up, you know, just like as if by magic. It's just such a cool thing when that happens, you know, for me on stage. And I don't know, it's just really interesting to me. Oh, but yeah, well, I'm sure there were other things I wanted to mention in this video, but I didn't write anything down today. A lot of times I'll try to like make notes and like write stuff down, but I don't know, I didn't really feel able to do that today. It was just, you know, it was a lot for me to get here at all today, just with the way that I've been feeling, just so congested and so like, you know, just not very, I feel like a big old bag of trash right now, to be honest. Like, I feel really crappy, you guys. But I am really happy that I was able to get out and do this, and that I'm just at least out today. You know, it's again excellent weather, wonderful September weather. So yeah, I really want to try to enjoy the rest of September as much as I can. So, and let's see, we're at about 40 minutes, which isn't too bad. So yeah, I'm just glad that I was able to do this today and get back to you guys. I've really been wanting to the past few days, but I've just been feeling way too crappy, you know, so, but I was literally dreaming about it, like coming back on YouTube, just like, oh, like, you know. So I hope you guys are well, and I think I can see some comments. So, so yeah, thank you guys for watching and being here. and I'm not sure how late I'm going to be able to stay tonight, having gotten here, you know, at open, and, you know, obviously, like, with the way that I'm feeling, not too well, but I'm going to try and see, you know, how late I can stay, hopefully at least for some of the night shift, and then kind of go from there, see how tomorrow goes. But I hope that I'm able to get back with you guys, you know, sooner than later, as I like to say. But it was nice to be able to touch base now in the meantime, and I'm so glad I got to chat with you guys today. So hopefully I'll be able to get this onto my channel and made public sooner than later. And yeah, I'm gonna get back in for now, back into the club and go back on stage. Hopefully there's people in there. But yeah, and I got through this without having to blow my nose, which is great because I've been sick and blowing my nose a lot these past few days. Very congested. I just kind of joke, like, I have such a big nose, so I feel like I contract respiratory illnesses like colds and stuff like that very easily because, you know, like, it's a respiratory thing, so you breathe in the germs, and that's usually how you contract that stuff, I guess. So I have such a big nose, I'm very susceptible to stuff like colds and congestion and all that fun stuff. But I got through this whole video without having to blow my nose, which is also great. So great for me and great for you guys. I have like so many napkins and tissues in my bag here, just in case though, you know. Oh yeah, I'm gonna peace out for now. Hope you guys are well, and hopefully I'll get to touch back with you guys pretty soon. Till next time.